All right, everybody, welcome back to Master Your Marketing Message. Today is about dream client creation. And this is really module 2, but it's part 1, meaning that there's going to be a super deep dive into this, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth today. And I want to set this up with the idea that the more you put into this actual piece, the more you really get out of it, and we all know that. So what is today's goal? I thought Stephen Covey said this beautifully. He said, seek first to understand and then to be understood. And if we really take that to heart, that means the piece of slowing down. Obviously, I know if you hear that means you care a ton about people and you care a ton about yourself and making a difference in your own life and all of those that you touch. And there's just something to be aware of, is to always first really understand. And I heard another guy say, he said, be interested, not interesting, which I think goes hand in hand with that. So understand how you turn your dream client's inner critic into their inner coach. And when you do that, you're actually entering the conversation in their head. Niche down and serve to the highest good. You know that the riches are in the niches. I'm sure you guys have heard before, and we'll talk more about that later. And then there's something here that I think is really important, is awareness and implementing through tweaking and testing. And what I mean by that is really understanding that the whole idea is that you're going to be out talking to people, you're going to be coaching people, you're going to be communicating with them online. When people leave comments or they follow up on your tweets or leave messages on your LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever it may be, is that there's an awareness to slow down and understand they're giving you the goods. And I will explain this really a lot more in part 2 next week about going to a testimonial, which we will also dive in down the road here, and really pulling some language out, because when you have people do testimonies the proper way, they actually give you so much amazing information. It's important to capture that and then repurpose it. So just to go a little background here, your clarity, this is all about clarity for your message, clarity for your mission, clarity about what is your core genius, clarity about your audience's voice, clarity about the value you're bringing to the table, clarity about your dream client, clarity about your dream offer, clarity about your authentic attraction through speech, clarity across all platforms, and again, that clarity about your actual testimonial. So benefits of this that works often online. There's a philosophically front-loading prospects, and this works hand in hand with your products. When you fully understand who your dream client is, then you can front-load your products and position them properly for the right person. It helps to eliminate, obviously, agonizing over marketing decisions. By a share of hands, how many people out there agonize over marketing decisions, right? Where to go, what to do, how to do things. So having this clarity helps out there. The sooner you figure it out, the sooner you can start the 3 F's. And no, that is not the 3 F's you get when you're in grade school. It is the 3 F's of freedom, fulfillment, and fun. Those, I believe, are the 3 things that all of us are really searching for when it boils down to this, to be able to actually have this stuff. It's that freedom, not just freedom, time freedom, but it's the freedom of actual financial freedom, right? And then that fulfillment of showing up and really serving yourself and serving your dream client. And then, of course, the fun is all about experiences and how you want to spend your time. The last benefit is consistency, self-branding. So when you talk about these same things over and over, you end up literally self-branding yourself. So we all know this one. Let's turn off all our cell phones, everything that's going to keep all distractions away right now. We set this time to make it happen. So you got your notes, you got your pen, you got your paper. Take notes as we go along here. Of course, how do we communicate? You guys know here in the chat. Do me a favor, just wave your hand if there's something that I'm missing, because I can't see the little chat box when I'm actually in full screen here. But you can put any questions, comments, anything you can inside that chat box so that I can capture that. Of course, just remind you guys, this is all about your foundation of your purpose, foundation of your poetry, the people you're here to serve, the products you create, the packages you create, how you promote this stuff, and of course how you perpetuate, meaning that are you consistent with what you're doing. So let's go to a review of last week. So guys, what I want to do at this point in time is I'm just going to take you guys off mute here, because I just want to hear what some of your takeaways from last week are. So let me get up in here and let me go unmute auto. So guys, can you hear me out there?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what was your biggest takeaways from last week? Don't blurt them all out at once. You just take it easy.
Yeah, definitely like a lot of, getting clear with what you want to attract, what you want your life to look like. Um, it's almost like a manifestation exercise in all of it.
That is a huge part of it, right? It's the clarity of taking the energy out of the brain, right? Writing it down and then speaking it out loud.
Yeah,
And let everybody know. And that's what this whole process is really deeply about, is that clarity.
yeah. And then, do you mean like with your actual presentation?
Now, just your biggest takeaways for you guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously, go ahead.
Well, yeah, that was my biggest takeaway is like getting clear on what you really want.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Adam, anything come to the top of your mind?
Nothing like it definitely at the time, like there was a lot of takeaways. I think it's like now it feels like I've integrated some of the stuff at least. So it's like now it's like it's not as much of like an aha. So it's just like nothing's jumping out at me right now.
It's all good, man. It's all good. There will be a test at the end of this. I'm just kidding. Cool. When it comes to the I believe exercise, how is that coming along out there?
I'm about halfway through that one.
Cool. Have you had any insights that have come from that?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like it's you know bringing clarity to beliefs that I know I have and the ones I didn't as well. Like they just kind of pop up when you bring it down at a base level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And do you see how that can factor into your dream client, as far as
Yeah,
understanding the beliefs that you have are going to be very similar to the beliefs that your dream client has, or your dream client wants to have, right? There may be some limiting beliefs that they want to replace there. Cool. What about your guys' two whys? Was there anything that came up for either of you guys on your two whys and understanding the difference between two of them?
uh, oh, that's the exercise that we did where why do you want to do this?
Right, so your human why and then what's in it for me, right? Because those are going to be super crucial when we actually get to part two training of this, meaning that you're literally going to be sharing with people why you do what you do, with your human why
Yeah,
and with your personal why. Of course, that just comes back to, like you said at the top of this when I asked you, what do you want, right? And
yeah,
then what came up for you guys in your dream lifestyle? Was there anything that you're like thinking, oh, I didn't even think about this before, but now I am?
yeah. And I think I'm still working on mine too. So, like that 3-year plan, I'm still working on it.
Yeah, that's the beauty behind all of this. This is not a one shop and then you're done thing, right? There's this constant little, it's again, it's build and refine and it's getting that clarity out there. So obviously, like you said, a manifestation. So when we know exactly what we're looking for, when that awareness shows up, have you guys heard of the RAS, reticular activating system in your brain?
Yeah,
Right? So that's exactly what that is for. That's what these exercises are about, because when we open that awareness up and we put it out there again, we take the energy out of our head, put it on paper, type it out, whatever, and then speak it out loud. All of a sudden, it lets our awareness actually start opening up and we attract those things, which is really what the law of attraction is, right? Because then it's actually the law of attraction. There's a key word in there, which is action. Like it's the taking the action to move closer to these things, right? So just these things are just review last week, some strengths that came up maybe that you weren't aware of before, that you didn't think about, like your superpowers, right? The superpowers that may be simple to us, but they're really something that is huge for everybody else. And of course, just finding out about your past successes. Anything pop up for you guys at all in your past successes? You're like, oh man, I totally forgot I had accomplished this.
yeah, definitely. I did. Did we do this last night?
No,
It
it
was the
was
night
Tuesday
before.
night or no, Monday
Monday
night.
night. Yeah, that was pretty cool. It just really brought up a lot of things that I've done with my life and been successful with.
Huge, right? And those are like, I go back to those things in my own 3-ring binder when sometimes I'm just feeling super duper down. It's like I'm sharing with myself, like, oh, that's right, I forgot. I did accomplish all of these things. So
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful exercise to do with clients, a necessary necessary piece to do with clients, and also a necessary thing to do with children as well, is to keep the, remember, my mom has all these little baby books, right? And there's all these like little handprints and pictures, things and years that we went through. Did any of you guys try any of these exercises? Any family, friends, or clients out there?
I haven't
No.
yet.
No, you guys didn't do the hand thing with the kids?
But, we did get our daughter, our 14-year-old daughter, to sit down with us and write out her dream year.
Awesome. How exciting is that?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Did she love it?
Yeah, she did it. I don't know if she loved it.
She'll appreciate that later down the road, right?
Right? Because she was super vague at first, and then we got her to go deeper, so that was good.
That is cool. That is really, really cool. Awesome, guys. Well, let's jump into this next piece here. I'll put you guys back on mute again if I can get to it. There we go. Mute audio. Cool. All right. When to use your dream client. Thank you, by the way, for doing that. When to use your dream client before you, come on. Before you start your business, before you make a new product, before you create any new marketing, before you write an email to your list, and before you write a sales letter or any copy at all. And I'll tell you the reason why, is because when you have your dream client, your avatar, whatever you want to call it, in front of you, and you're actually staring them in the eyes, even though it's a picture, or even a picture of your past client, whatever it be, then you can really do that deep connection instead of just kind of this like randomly trying to figure out exactly what I'm supposed to be saying. And then the tool to be able to use, and I'll put a copy of that tool, by the way, in here, is something that, in fact, I'll show you a picture of that right now just so you can see that, because I think this is just a beautiful thing, because it's literally how I created this. So let me come here, and you guys should be able to see a copy of a mind map. Is that correct? No, you cannot. Thank you very much, Carrie. How about now? You could probably be able to see a copy of that. I gotta hit the resume button. But this is literally how I created what we're doing here. So you can just see this thing grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. This is a beautiful way to start in the center. Start in the center, and then I just keep creating from there. Module 3, you can already see I started. So point of sharing this is just a beautiful way to be able to actually get in and just make this so it's really fluid, actually, which is cool. Desktop 1, okay, cool. Tell me if you should be able to see my main screen again. Is that correct? Thumbs up. You know why? Because I keep forgetting to hit resume share. I don't know why. I got that resume share button. All right, cool. All right. Dream clients. Why people don't create dream clients? I'll tell you the biggest reason why I found out is because they feel like they're climbing Mount Everest, right? It seems like so much work, and there's like, oh, I got to get to the top. The reality of it is, it's just getting to the next level. And that's one thing that I come across so often with so many people out there, is just not understanding who their dream client is and not spending the time to actually be able to figure out who that is, which I think is super huge. And that's why you guys are awesome for being here. And one of the other reasons why is people just feel like they're leaving people behind, like literally leaving people behind. And they feel like, oh my goodness, if I don't cast my net wide enough, then I'm not going to actually be able to see who this is. So third one is hyper focus. There's something about hyper focus. We have so much stuff pulling our attention every direction these days that it's super hard, it seems like, to be hyper focused. But when we are, that's when the magic happens. And of course, the last part is scarcity and feeling that you're going to be losing so much by narrowing down the niche. So I suspect, since you were probably here, you might have experienced this before in your life. Is this true, right? We've all been there. But here's the reality. What is it costing you? I mean, the reality is it's You're not marketing, you're hoping, right? You will have no reliable framework for making marketing decisions, which is super huge, because when you start with that foundation, then everything just comes so much easier. Your product decisions, your offer decisions, your add-on decisions, your lateral market decisions, your joint venture decisions out there, like that's a big one. It will be difficult to communicate your vision to your employees, partners, VAs, contractors, copywriters, etc. Because it's something that I think is super important when you have anybody doing additional work for you, is to really make sure that there is something you can hand to them and go, this is exactly who we're creating this for. Then that gives them a starting point, right? That buying persona. So, and then of course it sets yourself up for lots of conversations with the wrong prospects, which equals time. We've all been there before. That is no much fun. That's not fun at all, right? So the riches are in the niches. I think that's such a funny saying. The more specialized you become, the more you will make. Let's just think about it today. So Chet Holmes, in the book, it's called Marketing Machine, I believe, Marketing Machine, yeah. And I will put a copy of that in here as well. I will put a copy of that in there here for you, just so you can look at it. But he said in this particular thing, when you're getting ready to go do a speech, he said, think about if you were getting ready to walk on stage and do a speech. And right before you walked on stage, the MC came on and said, hey everybody, Adam's going to be coming up and speaking here in a second. And there's 1,000 of you out there. We love you to death. Thanks for showing up. But here's the deal. If you don't like what Adam says, get up and walk out. And then all of a sudden they're like, and Adam, here you are, right? And all of a sudden you have to walk on stage. It's really about saying, okay, what are the words? Who is the person I can speak to? How can I speak to them in a language, and so they know that the right people that do stick around and the right people raise their hand? And that's really what it means about becoming a specialist today, by niching down. Because the target is not your market. Like, we zero in on who we're looking for, and all of a sudden as we start going through that, the target kind of starts moving a little bit, and where we started here, we actually end up a little bit more over here. And what happens is you actually create this clarity, which is king or queen, depending on your point of view. And when you create that, you actually get your message down so clear that at the end of the day, you start attracting those people you're searching for, but then it starts resonating with all the people around it. Kind of give you an example is like, we all need the sun at the middle of our solar system, right? Because without the sun, nothing has enough gravitational pull for all of the Earth to go around, Jupiter, Mars, but we need that balance in there. And there's so many different planets that are rotating that it really just expands out. It doesn't mean that, there's planets that we don't attract in our solar system, but the 9 that we did are super important, their clarity. So it all just goes hand in hand. So let's start diving into insight, secret number 2, how to figure out who your dream client is. So let's talk about the mindset. First thing is, you guys already know this, but there's some basic stuff, but it's a real person. I mean, a real true person. To really keep that in mind is important. Someone who requires your help, someone who chooses, someone who causes your support. I misspelled that in there, sorry. Someone for whom you genuinely care about, someone who's actively seeking the kind of solutions that you want to sell them, someone who would stand up for you if they were being picked on, right? Somebody you would stand up for if they were being picked on, right? Someone whose flight you empathize with, someone and you want to protect, someone who's going through what you've already experienced. I think that is a massive one personally. Again, it comes back to the whole ladder theory, like who are you lifting up while you're climbing up? And someone you like and respect, someone whom you're an advocate for. Super important stuff. So let them self-identify for you. What do I mean by that? We talked about this a second ago. The target is never your market. Therefore, by clarity defining one person, you attract many more who are just like them. And that's where that piece comes in, what we were talking about earlier. When we so know these people, there's 7.5 billion people in the world, right? And multiplying. But the reality is there's a lot of similarities. Have you guys heard of the term doppelganger? Like, your friends come out, they're like, dude, I saw your doppelganger, right? Well, that also is the same thing when it comes to a lot of the same things we're dealing with. The problems, the struggles, the pains, all that stuff. We all deal with those basic pains, but we deal with them in 1,000 different ways. It's narrowing down those. It's by identifying that specific person and start building a relation, whether it's through Twitter, Facebook, email, or whatever it means to you. So let's start with our dream client, and let's start to define what our dream client actually looks like here. So one thing I want you guys to do is, you guys saw a picture of on the handout that I gave you, is you actually saw a picture of a real person. Now, I will explain to you how I got that exact picture of a person, but always have that at the top of your list. So again, you can sit down and really connect with that person. So here's a little bit of insight I want to give with you guys. First one is, do you guys have enough past clients out there? Or if you don't, which I know you guys do, is schedule an interview with them. Always have your avatar while creating anything. Always have it open. Always refer to it. Always come back to it before you create anything. Review that data. And this fourth point here is something super important, is record everything. Like, your phone is like the best tool in the world, right, when it comes to this. So whether you're doing it on Zoom, whether you're in person, and I just hit record, I always ask permission to record things. I've got like so many voice notes on my phone. It's just endless voice notes. But a lot of times when I'm sitting there speaking to somebody and they're sharing so much great information with me, I actually go back and listen to it. And I pick little things out, because sometimes it's just those 1 or 2, 3 words or sentences that they use, or a way that they describe something, or a place that they go and look for something, or a newsletter that they wrote, that they were reading, or a magazine, or a conference where they're at, right? That gives you that super insight. And the last one here I want to share is become a student of people. And what I mean by that is study people, right? Like, really study who people are, and really think about what it is that they are. We all know, obviously, they're human. Let me boil this down to really simplistic terms, right? Like, study people, study the mannerisms, the way people talk, hearing what they're saying by sitting down and breathing. And we're going to dive into that a lot more here down the road. But study, becoming a student of people, because that's who the people you're out there helping. And when you truly, truly understand them, then you can really truly understand how to be present and to be able to hear them and to be able to serve them to their highest good. So before we jump into this next piece here, guys, I want to do a little meditation before we jump into the next piece, because when we get into the next piece, we're really going to start doing some creation stuff here very shortly. So what I want you guys to do is, I'm going to do a quick stop share. I'm just going to put some music on real quick, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to close our eyes. I'm just going to walk you through a guided meditation out there, and I'm just going to put some music on in the background. You can see all this stuff I listen to. It's all the, here we go, this looks like a great one. Connect to the universe. So go ahead and close your eyes, guys. Give me the thumbs up if you can hear that out there. Thank you. All right, let's take some deep breaths together. We'll take 3 of them, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. With your eyes closed, I want you just to release everything that was happening before we got on here, all the thoughts, all the things. Just release the monkey mind. Be fully present. Just feel your breath, literally feel your chest rise as you breathe in, and feel your chest fall as you breathe out. Now, while doing this meditation, what I want you to think about is, think about the dream life that you want to create, and how that factors into creating value for those you are here to serve. What is the value that you have brought for somebody in the past where they were just thanking you so much for showing up in your life? Anchor that feeling in if you want by squeezing your fist or whatever is most comfortable for you. What were the words they said to you? What was the epiphanies that they had? When they said the words to you, I'm so grateful because I had this new awareness. What was that transformation they thanked you for? Listening to them say those words to you and how it made you feel, and the awareness, epiphanies, and confidence it built in you. Just take about another 30 seconds and just really enjoy that. Take about another 10 seconds. All right, guys, go ahead and open your eyes. How you guys feeling right now? Good, good, good. Well, let me pause that because it didn't pause. So let me just stop that real quick. Perfect. All right. All right, guys. So what I want you guys to do right now, and then we're gonna take a short break right after this, assuming you guys need to use the bathroom. What I want you to do is with your notepads and pens, is I want you to write down the top past clients you've gotten the best results for. What was their names? You know, what was it they were struggling with? Who were the easiest clients to work with? What was fun about that process? What made it so exciting to actually do that? You know, you had that feeling. I know I just had I'm really enjoying working with Anna right now that I know you guys know out there, and it's just such a beautiful process to be going through with her. And I just get super excited every time we're getting ready to talk because there's just so much that unveiling that comes from our time together. So for me, that's somebody that I would recognize as to be, you know, a real dream client for me. Yeah, I see you shaking your heads out there. Just write down a couple more things and leave some space when you're writing these things down, because what's going to happen over time is that you're going to come back to these pieces and you're going to be adding this stuff in, because I know you're writing these in notes right now. I'm going to show you what I do here a little later on inside of my notebook online in my notes inside of Mac or what, you know, PC, whatever you use. But these are just questions that I think are just super important. And when it comes to questions that are important, do you guys have any questions about what we're doing right now? No? Cool, cool.
We're unmuted. Okay.
You're unmuted, yeah. So don't be talking any trash out there. I can hear you. Do you guys want to take a couple more minutes with this exercise? You feeling the flow right now? Yeah. Yeah. Take a couple more minutes. It's all good. Something to keep in mind, guys, while you're cruising along here is that I will go back. I was gone this last weekend, so I will go back and I will start editing these ones that we've done and break them down a little bit more. And these will be inside of my online program, which you guys have access to. So you'll be able to go back and relive this magic all over again. What was that, Carrie? I missed you. You guys, if I haven't given to you yet, you will absolutely have access to it. For $1 million. Guys, I'm going to give you about another minute here, and then we'll move on. Guys, let's go ahead and start wrapping that up. Let's come back and let's go ahead and move forward here. All right, so this next piece here, I thought this was a beautiful, beautiful thing here. I thought this was just a great quote that was said, and she talked about be led not by sight, but by insight. And so I sent some things over to you guys here, and you should have, if you have access to those, this core value tiles is the first one here. Let me back up. Whoops. Looks something like this. Do you guys have that open and available right there? Let me know when you guys have that available in front of you.
It's all on different sheets, looks like. There's only one box on each sheet, I believe.
Yep, there should be one. You know what, if not, you can just pull it up there on your Facebook, or you know what, you can see it right here, it's fine. Just to know if you wanted to take some notes on it right next to it. So what's interesting about this is actually a tool that I've been using for years, which is a beautiful tool. And I'm sure you guys are very familiar with this. It's very much about, you know, the 4 archetypes, right? Now, what I think is so beautiful about this tool is we have, just to go through, and we have the blue, which is, again, the stability, structure, systems, planning. That is a director, right? That is somebody who's in charge. They have one goal to move forward, and that's the whole goal, and they're kind of the bull in the china closet, right? They're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Then you have the yellow, which are the nurturers, who are built on the relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, contribution, all of those beautiful things, which a lot of people, obviously, in the transformation industry are very much nurturers. Then you have the values, the turquoise ones, which is really the analytical people, right? The learning, the intelligence, the logic, self-mastery, technology. And then, of course, you have the last one here, And the reason why I'm doing it in very specific order here too. The last one here is actually the promoters. So I'm a promoter out there. I don't know what each one of you are. So promoter likes freedom, flexibility, having fun. And when I learned this exercise in an event, they actually literally did those in order. And the reason why they always put the promoters last, because that's just their personality, because they're always the ones that are talking to everybody and they're keeping themselves entertained while the other three are doing their own thing here. Now, what's interesting, when you're building a team, this is a beautiful way to build a team. And what you want to have is you actually want to have the blue, which is the directors. You pair them with the nurturers. And the reason why, in like any type of setting, the director's like, we're heading down here, when they say things they don't necessarily mean, the nurturer runs over and be like, they didn't mean that. Everything's fine. They love you. We're all on the same team, right? And so those two make a beautiful team together. Same thing with an analytical person along with a promoter. The reason why is a promoter is a salesperson generally, right? Somebody like myself that goes out and does what I do. And the analytical person can give me all the tools I need in order to make things happen. Now, on each one of those tools that I gave you out there, I actually gave you 8 of these. There are 4 of the same, but 4 of them are actually in a Word document. And if they're not, let me know and I'll get those over to you. And the other 4 are in a PDF, because this literally is exactly what I use. And then when I go out, it gives you some insight. So if you actually look at one of those, and I'm going to pull one up here real quick. When you actually look at one of those here, let me find the right one. Let's go to nurture. You should be able to see the nurture now. Let me know if that is the case by some thumbs up. Thank you, sir. So in this nurture here, now here's a beautiful thing, is that you can actually give that tile to a client. You can give it to your children. You can give it to a friend. And you ask them the question of, choose which one of these tiles resonates the most with you. Super important to make this distinction. Not the one you want to be, but the one that resonates with you. The one that means like you are who you are. We all have 2 of them, right? We kind of really live in one and we have a secondary one. But when you hand that to somebody, that literally gives you the ability to be able to start speaking to them in their language. So if I know I'm talking to a nurturer, which I believe you guys to be out there, you know, I'm not, Adam, I think you're an analyst, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe, what's that?
I don't know. I don't really quite understand all the definitions of them yet. So
Perfect. So let's back up then. So brother, what I want you to do right now then, I literally want you to look at those 4. Do you need me to pull those 4 back up?
Sure.
All right, so let me do this real quick. So I'm going to come back here. All right, you should be able to see the 4. Perfect. So what I want you to do is I literally want you to look at those 4, and I want you to decide which one of those is you. Again, not the one you want it to be, but the one that says more.
First one.
One more time?
The blue one.
The blue one. Okay, cool. So you feel like stability, structures, having systems in place, planning, processing, predictability, all that stuff really says that's who you are. Like out of those 4.
Yep. What is that one?
So that's the director.
Okay.
So what that tells me then is, now that I know that's who you are, then what I can do is I can start talking to you in the terms that you're going to understand. Because if I come down here to, let's use the turquoise one, which is the analyst. So I totally had you misread, which is the reason why we use these tools. Is that
I think both, though.
I think he's both. He's probably predominant, the director, and then a secondary for the analyst. So my primary is a promoter, and my secondary, which is the red, and then my secondary is the values, which I'm a nurturer. So I live in my primary, but I also very much resonate in my secondary. And Carrie, what about you? Which one of these really resonates the most with you?
Probably the nurturer, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I figured you as the nurturer too. So I would say that because of what I know what you guys do, nurturing is a huge part of what you do, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that's what your internal processes is. It doesn't mean what your internal language necessarily is too. So knowing that you're a nurturer, and Adam, that you're a director, so when I'm explaining something, as I will from this point forward, is if I use words like stability and structure. Like, Adam, when you're doing this stuff, my friend, you have total control over this. That's how I'm speaking to you, and you're like, oh, I get it. That's cool. I am in control, right? That makes sense to you. Carrie, if I'm talking to you and I go, Carrie, when you're doing all this stuff, the great thing about this is really going to be able to help you build better relationships, right? So I'm accomplishing the same thing here. I'm just speaking to you in your language so you understand what I'm sharing with you, because that's what I mean when I come back to saying be a student of people. Is really doing our best, and it's really doing our best to slow down, right? Focus on our breath and listen to them. And so that we're really truly focusing on what they're saying, but also understanding, like, how can I speak to you? And when you know that with your dream client, you can really start tailoring stuff down. That's when you really enter that conversation in their head. And that's when you really start turning their inner critic into an inner coach. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So how does this play into this piece here? So let's just come over here to director, because I know, Mr. Adam, you like to be in control now. So we're going to come back to the director, right? So inside of here, Adam, if you find yourself working with a lot of directors, great. You may not. It's very possible, but you may. So this is some insight. So I went through and I had this exercise done with me. So you'll see words in here like my name. You could literally, the reason why I put this in a Word document, because you can go back and change the names in there and then give it to your clients. They love this stuff. You know, it's this insight that we all have. But there's some other beautiful things in here. Most directors, it tells you their strengths. Obviously, there's a lot of the same words that are very much on the little tile. But here's, I think, some bigger things. Every client I've ever given this to, by the way, each one of them said, God, those are really my challenges, man. Those are really my recommendations. These are the things that, pardon me, start to use as a tool to start building your client avatar. This is the first tool, is to start understanding. Does that make sense?
No.
No? So, okay, great question. So meaning this, so we have a foundation we're going to build for our client avatar, right? And a lot of times what happens is when we say, like, Adam, tell me who your perfect client avatar is. Like, what is their biggest challenges, right? There's a very good possibility that you're going to get stuck. Maybe you're not, maybe you are, right? But there's a good solid chance we're going to be stuck. Like, how do we describe our challenges and the struggles, the needs and the wants, the false beliefs, things of that nature with people when we're describing an avatar to somebody? So this just gives you a base foundation to start from. Like, literally can start from here. Like, you know what? I don't really know exactly if my dream client, because remember, we're choosing this dream client. My dream client is somebody who's a director, and I want to work with directors because you can resonate with a director. It's easy for you to speak their language, right? So you know that planning, organization, management, implement, sequential thinking, following systems, you know you can talk to a person in those terms. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And of course, the challenges. You know, these may not be the exact ones, but, you know, lack of diplomacy while focusing on meeting your goals and deadlines, being too cautious, miss key opportunities, right? Focus on black or white, take on ever-increasing loads of responsibility, and slow down personal production. Get focused on what your work that you have forgotten to have fun. Does any of this sound like your challenges, Adam?
Yeah.
All right? So this is a great foundational piece to be able to use. Like, you can literally, I give that tile, I've emailed the people the tile before when we're getting ready to meet or something, and I say, hey, before we meet, send this tile back to me. And then I'll send you some fun insight. Guess what I'm doing? I'm engaging them for one thing, right? But secondly, I'm getting some insight about them. So I know how to start tailoring things. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, so let's jump back here now, because this is going to be a piece. So you have this piece out when you're getting ready to create your dream client. So let's jump back here. And guys, tell me when you can see. Be led not by insight, but the other one. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's come on here. So this is an easy way to remember this. What does the Wizard of Oz have in common with your dream client? You guys want to take a stab at it? This is the Go ahead.
I said that's interesting.
Very interesting, right? Like this was like the number one grossing. Whoops. This was like the number one grossing movie of its time, and probably one of the number one grossing movies of all time, right? So the reason why I believe this, besides the fact it's a beautiful storyline, but I think one of the reasons why is because it really talked to all four archetypes. Now, what do I mean by that? Dorothy is the director. Why do we think Dorothy is the director?
Because she's leading that.
That's right. She has one goal. I gotta get home because I'm in this crazy land and all I want to do is get back to the farm, right? So she's the director. She's leading the pack. You're either with me or you're not with me. I'm going down the yellow brick road. You can come with me, right? So who does she pick up along the way the first time? The Scarecrow.
Scarecrow, yeah.
Right? And what does he want? If I only had a brain, right? He's the analyst. Who's the Tin Man?
Yeah, he's
The nurturer, right? Man, if I only had a heart, I could love for as long as I love. I can sing about those, whatever he says, right? And then, of course, the Cowardly Lion, he's the promoter because he's he's the promoter because he's emotional, he's spontaneity, right? Like he just runs off and jumps into places, right? Very emotional, all over the place, right? So if you really think about using these in your mind is something simple, all you have to do is when you're talking to a client and you're trying to figure out who they are they Dorothy, the analyst, the Tin Man, or the Cowardly Lion, right? So it's just simple tool to be able to use this back here. Whoops, to use this. Which one are they? Dorothy's the blue. The Tin Man is the turquoise. The Scarecrow's the turquoise. The Tin Man's the nurturer, which is yellow, and the promoter is red. Is this making a little more sense?
Yeah, for me it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to use this as the foundation. A couple little more personal insight tools to use here. Have you guys heard of this lady whose name I totally spaced out? Sally Hogshead is her name,
Yeah.
right? So you can go to howtofascinate.com. I took a picture of this and I put it in the link for you guys in there, just so you can have it already in there. How to Fascinate actually lets you see how people see you, which I thought was a really cool tool. I've never done that before. And then, of course, Tony Robbins, he actually has his own disc assessment. Both of these are free, by the way. And this is what you end up getting. So the disc assessment is in the top left. And then, of course, in the bottom right is there Sally Hogshead. There you go. And so mine was actually the People's Champion. The top 3 words you can see right there on the right-hand side at a glance, right below the little head, is dynamic, inclusive, and engaging. My primary advantage is passion. My secondary advantage was power, which I thought was kind of interesting. I haven't taken these in a while, but I certainly would like to go back and take it again. The disc assessment I just took earlier this year, the high I, right? So high I is me. They like to have fun. They like to get out. They like to socialize. So just things that you can give to your clients for free that can give them more insight, but it will also give you insight about who they are. Making sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so we're going to spend most of our time here, so pull these sheets out. And how are you guys doing? As far do you need a bathroom break, or are we good to keep rocking and rolling?
I'm fine.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Cool.
If you need a break there, we can certainly do that too.
I am good. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and pull this sheet out because we're literally going to spend the rest of our time on this sheet. So let me go ahead and share this sheet here.
Over here.
This is the whole director thing. You gave me sheets that are so disorganized.
I had them all organized. You've been moving. Like you've got them all spread over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're numbered. Here.
Definitely the dirt. Oh, this
They're
is
numbered.
numbered.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. This is different stuff.
All right, guys, can you...
Mary printed out the sheets and just handed them to me.
No, I
and
handed
to
them
me,
to
they were very disorganized. When I gave them to her last week, I stapled them all together and like. So this is a classic case of
Look though, but
needing structure and.
you've been
She
moving
doesn't
them
need
all
structure.
around. You've moved them all around.
I love it. So can you see this sheet now, the one with the girl on it?
Yeah, I handed them a little nice, like all together.
And that was about it.
No, they were all like this. So one was this way, one was this way, and they were all little packages.
Awesome, guys. All right, so what we want to do here is I'm just going to go down through this, and then we're going to take some time. We're going to spend the next 20, 30 minutes on this, and then we're going to get wrapped up here for the day, because this is something, whoops. This is really...
You don't need structure, though. He's right.
All right. All right, on this here, the objective of this is, and I'm going to leave you guys on mute for this. The objective of this is to brain dump ideas to what your dream client, man or woman, now this can work for both. You can create separate ones. I have a tendency to find out I'm usually about 80% women and 20% guys that I work with. So I really focus on creating it for the woman, but it's the same questions for a man. It's no different. This one I've just spent more time on, like 80% of my time. So the idea is this: you'll pick and choose parts of many of them. Fill out as many as possible. This is a stream of consciousness. Do not filter them. Just write it down. You might want to think about a dream client couple as well. It's very doable in here. You probably already have a couple you probably have a couple who's boy, I messed that sentence up. Forget that sentence. I'll go back and fix that one. So what is his or her name in personal attributes, likes, dislikes? This is where the beliefs thing comes back into play, right? Because now we've got your I believe that you did. We've got the Wizard of Oz, right? The 4 archetypes. See how these things are starting to meld together? And then we're going to start writing these down. And from these 3 pieces, we're going to start creating this amazing dream client. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So ironically, by the way, Carrie, this was not planned, even though your name is Carrie. I love it.
It's spelled the same way too.
I know, isn't that classic, right? So, and I will teach you how I actually got this picture of Carrie. So in here, her particular name is Carrie. I want you to write down her age real quick. I just want you to take a couple seconds, and we're going to be filling this out as we go along. Like, write down what do you think your dream client's age is. Write down what she looks like. Is she a blonde hair brunette, green eyes, right? Is it a person who is in physically good shape, or somebody who's physically out of shape, right? Are they single, married, or divorced? I know that working with Kelly, right, who you guys know out there, like, he's really come around on who his dream client is, and we've been working on it for a while, and it's just this beauty because he fully understands now who he's out there to help. And it's just going to be super exciting to watch him take off here very shortly with what he's doing. So is the heart-centered. For me, she was heart-centered, right? Were the parents, are they parents divorced? Are they still alive? I know I have a beautiful, amazing friend that her parents have passed away, right? She always wants to be able to connect back with them spiritually and emotionally. So these type of things are important. And again, just to repeat something I said earlier, your target is not your market. When you're super clear with this message, it's going to resonate with people whose parents are alive or divorced or whatever the case may be. Maybe one parent's dead, the other one's alive. It's just having that super clarity. So after you're done with that section, just give me a thumbs up when you're done with that section and you feel a little bit clearer with that. So we're going to go through each one of these here, because then the next thing we're going to write down is what are the books you think she reads or he reads, right? Like, I know my favorite book is The Alchemist. Like, I could read that book probably over and over. If I had to be stuck with one book, it would be The Alchemist, because it's just a beautiful story. There's so many parables in there, right? Infinite Possibilities is another book that I read. That I read. I wish I wrote that. That's a pretty cool book. People Magazine. Like, I don't read People Magazine, but when I go to my friend's house and there happens to be one laying around, I always grab it, right? It's just one of those things. So what are the books, magazines that your dream client, remember, keep in mind, we meditated, you thought about the things, you called in all of the things that really, truly were helping you out. That were coming through you in your meditation about the past clients that you have helped out, right? Because there's going to be a combination of your past clients, a combination of the 4 archetypes, the Oz, Wizard of Oz, a combination of their disassessment, and a combination of, a combination of these questions we're answering here. All of that's going to accumulate, come together. So what are the books that they have read out there, right? Let's move on here. What is the music she loves? So one of the clients I picked up, Amber, who owns epicself.com, which is a really cool woman actually, by the way. She's the one that's married to JP Sears. I teach at her events. I actually had her as a client first before she hired me to actually speak at her events. And
Nice.
one of the things that I recognize about her is that she actually loves some Xavier Rudd. Pardon me, Knock on Medicine for the People. She likes Xavier Rudd as well, but Knock on Medicine for the People is a type of music that we share in common, and our favorite song is Risk It. Now
I know that.
another great song. It's a beautiful song, right? And it was like her.
Dated Nako.
What's that?
My friend Nejma dated him.
Oh, really? Super cool. Yeah. The main, Aaron Thomas, I think he no longer is part of the group, but he was the main bassist guy. Actually played at their wedding, which was a lot of fun. But she loves dancing and flowing in life, right? So I know this is the type of music that she loves listening to. All right. What are her three? Whoops, I need to get rid of books here. But what are the three top favorite movies and why? Right? Boy, when it comes to those top movies, that just really tells me a lot. So, Carrie, tell me your three favorite movies.
Good question. Wow. I'd really have to think about that, Derek. Because
sappy movies.
I really love sappy movies with a spiritual twist to them.
Okay.
Dragonfly was good. That's the first one that comes out.
What's Dragonfly about?
I can't even remember all of it. See, I have a really I'm a dreamer, so I don't remember logistics. I just remember
The feeling, right? You remember the feeling.
I remember the feeling of the movies, and Dragonfly had a very spiritual twist to it. So I like it was all about faith and the unknown and miraculous healing, and so I really like that. I do love sappy movies.
Those are awesome, right? So these are great questions to be asking yourself and writing them down, right? Because there's going to be and the reason why I'm asking you is because it's just that awareness piece, right? And so I would literally write down here, what did you call them? Sappy movies, right? Or spiritual sappy movies, I think was the word you used, right? So that's perfectly fine because it gives you a genre to think about, right? But when you really ask somebody, so somebody asked me this question one time, and I'll tell you some of my favorite movies are like Dumb and Dumber because that's my personality, right? Just super over the top, obnoxious like that, just makes me laugh my butt off, And then I also love Top Gun. It was one of my other favorite movies, and of course probably my favorite movie of all time is Ferris Bueller. So those three movies go hand in hand with my personality, they go hand in hand with me, and then I could dive into why, because I love Ferris Bueller because he was friends with everybody. That's who I was in high school, right? I was friends with everybody. She says in the movie, the geeks, the motorheads, the sportos, and she's pulling all those pencils out of her hair, right? Superman, because it's Superman, he wants to save the world, right? He's always doing good. And Dumb and Dumber because I just love freaking laughing my ass off, right? So those things really give you some insight about my personality, which again, this is becoming a student of people, right? So if you don't know the three movies, write your own three movies down. Totally fine. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's more of just flushing the stuff and having the awareness. So,
So movies, it says, what are your top three favorite movies? So
right, which is
that for us or the client?
Both.
Okay.
Both, yeah. So, sometimes when you're put on the spot a little bit, it's hard to remember, right? These things, right? I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So when you write down your three favorite movies or books, I promise you, when you start sharing those stories with those people, because, sharing is, storytelling is story selling, right? When you start sharing, those are the reason why, and somebody goes, oh my God, I love that movie too. It's that instant bonding. And again, what this all boils down to, guys, is what we're looking for is we're looking for that insight to our dream client. These are the steps that most people don't want to go through in order to figure it out. But by you guys being here and showing up and playing full out, it's like you're going through the steps. All of a sudden, dude, you're going to walk into a place, and it's almost like the people that you're here to work with are going to have like a light shining on them. Because you're going to be like, I know so clearly who they are, how you can serve them to their highest good. And it's literally just understanding who they are by becoming a student of people. All right. So what are the websites, the newsletters, that you consider to be authority, sources of information in your market, right? Or what are ones that, you subscribe to? What are ones you think that your clients subscribe to? What, Facebook groups are you part of, right? All of these little things, there's people in there talking and they're sharing their struggles. And, a beautiful way to get into a Facebook group and to really be active and ones that you're looking for is to be vulnerable with something you're going through, right? Hey, I'm struggling with this, guys. Can anybody help me out with that? It opens up that conversation. It really puts you in that leadership position because you're leading by example. And then from that, what you're going to see is all these returning comments, right? Oh my gosh, this. Oh, you should check this out. I should check this out. Just a great way to do this. The 2 human whys, right? Now, this is something that you guys are new to. They may not be necessarily aware of that yet. But explaining that process to them, right? Because I think it's so imperative. Again, when we boil things down, when somebody says, God, what's your purpose? To me, it sounds like I got to go climb Mount Everest today. Are you crazy? That sounds like way too much work. But when you boil it down to, what is your human why? Why are you here to serve people? Why do you want to? And then, the favorite radio station, right? WIIFM, what's in it for me? Mm-hmm. Right? And ultimately, if you really boil this down, at least in my opinion, is really this all boils down to what's in it for me. Because of the fact, when I see somebody have an epiphany or a breakthrough or land a new client or whatever it is, I get paid off inside. There's this like, you remember Kip from Napoleon Dynamite? He's all, yes. Right? The emoji, right? All right, so what type of entrepreneur? So guys, I don't want to go too fast on these because I want to give you a chance to write a couple things down. And if you don't know anything specifically about your dream client, write a couple things down about yourself. What type of entrepreneur, worker, employee, wanting to become an entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, for me, here's an example. I really work with wellness and solo entrepreneurs, which is exactly people like you. Anna, Kelly, Amber, chiropractors, holistic people, massage therapists, acupuncturists, anybody who works with the mind, body, and soul, right? Who wants to grow and scale their business online, who wants to get super clear about who they're here to serve and how to serve them, and so they can spend their time. So who is that for you? Is it a mompreneur? Like, I thought something was really interesting when I was at the training at this last event. There was a woman there named Christine, and she was a cop. And I just never thought about a cop being in the transformational world. It really caught me off guard. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, how many cops are stressed out to the 9, right? And just, you could be a cop entrepreneur, a cop-preneur. Like, it's gotta be niche of all niche markets, right? I've never heard of a cop-preneur, but like firemen work part-time. The guy that started Firehouse Subs, he's a fireman, right? So it's those very specific things, the mompreneurs, whatever it may be. This is a super important one. What does your avatar desire most, right? What is the outcome they're hoping for? What is the results? And I want to spend a second on this one because they want this because they really want to up-level their status, right? We all as human beings want to up-level our status. The people we're hanging around with, whether the cars we drive, the houses we live in, the time we have off, the experiences that we want to experience, those are all status things. And when we hang around, right, the sum of who we are is the people we hang around, right? And as we up-level our status, we hang around better people. It doesn't mean we're better than people. We are just putting ourselves in a better position to succeed. So what is it they really want, right? So here's a perfect example for a lot of the people I've worked with. They want to have empowerment, right? They want to feel confident putting themselves out there, feeling enough, especially the people that I teach at the event that we do in the month long, like the one coming up in Thailand. They want to feel comfortable knowing exactly, that they're good enough to be out there, that they're worthy enough. And so they want to be empowered. They want to be able to step up. So that may not maybe necessarily be what your person's looking for. They may just want to buy a new car. And that's totally fine, right? It doesn't matter. It's like, it's understanding what their desire is. And by the way, guys, when you work on these this week, when we dive into part 2 next week, I'm going to show you before we leave here, it's actually the next page, I'm going to show you, like, I take these things down and I write them down and this list just keeps growing. But then I really start narrowing it down, and I'm going to share a little bit more about that. All right, so guys, we've been going for about an hour and 5 minutes just to give you an idea, so we're going to wrap up perfectly in due time here. What is she great at? You know, meaning, is she a hard worker, constantly hustling? I have had many clients that are exactly that. They are 100% hard workers, and they're constantly hustling out there to make it happen. Their business is thriving, much like you guys. Your business is thriving, so I know you guys are hustling out there, right? You're making a difference, and you're doing it. You're doing it and doing it and doing it well. So, right? So I know, so these things you see in here, I've dialed this back to make the question simpler, but guys, I'm telling you, you, Anna, Kelly, all the people I work with, Amber, you guys are all very much the same people. You have so much the same traits, right? It's amazing.
You've manifested us.
I have absolutely manifested you, and I promise you it's because of this. It's because of this stuff. It wasn't like, I wish I could be as cool. And this, by the way, is a hodgepodge of everything that I've been learning over the last few years, right? And looking back at my own career, is really just like, okay, taking these tools and narrowing it down and refining it. All right? This one is a beautiful one because, Carrie, you really shared this one with me as a false belief pattern. Not that you're not enough, but when we first talked, you said that you haven't been wanting to narrow down because you don't want to leave anybody out, right?
Yeah.
Right? You remember that? So that is a false belief pattern. You believe it to be true, but the reality is it's not true, right? So that is something, when you really deep dive into people and you really understand exactly what their false belief patterns are, oh my goodness, that's the goods. Because then you're really entering that conversation, because you can start using your language like, you know, Carrie, you're out there, you probably believe that if you start narrowing down what you're doing, you're actually going to leave people out. Am I right? Right?
Yeah.
That's language, right? That's language I can use in a blog, language I can use in a YouTube video, right? Language I can use in anything. I'm now entering that conversation in your head. Super beautiful. Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Where does she spend her time online? And really, it kind of goes hand in hand with the next question, is where does she spend her time offline? So guys, I'm going to do something here while we're chatting. So give me something that your client avatar talks about. Something that you know that's a bit of a keyword for them, like a buzzword, if you will.
Pain.
One more time?
Pain.
Pain, so what type of pain?
Physical pain.
I think it all-encompassing pain, like, you know, pain that they have, you know, these symptoms and they haven't gotten better yet. So emotional pain in the body.
Cool. Give me some symptoms. What is a symptom?
Symptoms would be maybe, well, I guess if I take it from the physical pain perspective, would be fatigue. Would be
perfect. How do you spell fatigue?
Fatigue.
Cool, I did it right. So, what I want to do here, I'm always happy when I spell a word right because I'm not a very good speller. So, can you guys see a screen right now that says Google AdWords?
No.
Because you know why? Because I didn't hit resume. Can you guys see it now?
No, just a black screen with a white line down the middle.
Really? Okay, what happens when I do that? Can you see that?
No.
Why did that not do that? So let me reshare again. Okay, cool.
If I was going to take it from an emotional perspective, I would say that they're mourning the life they had.
The what? Sorry?
They are mourning the life that they once had.
They're mourning. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Or they got sick or developed a chronic problem.
okay, perfect. So can you guys see the page right now? It says fatigue in the blue thing here.
That black screen with a white line down the middle.
Why is it stop? Why does it keep doing that? Let me bring this over here. I keep sharing the right page. I don't know why it's not. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I don't know what's happening there. So, point being, I just typed in the word in Google AdWords like, fatigue. And look what it popped up. Chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah.
Why I'm always tired. Why am I so tired? Chronic fatigue, extreme tiredness, tired all the time, always tired, right? This one right here, fatigue, guys, I don't like that Google AdWords changed this, but in here, it used to tell you exactly within 1,000 how many people actually looked at this, but between 100,000 and 1 million people a month look up the word fatigue. Mind-blowing, right? So give me, and you can look at all these. So when these are just feeling tired all the time, right? That one isn't as much. But when you're talking about the things you're talking about, there are people, fatigue symptoms. There are people out there looking for these words, and these Google and the online world's picking these words up. Chronic fatigue syndrome, like this is another 100,000 to 1 million. Like those are big ones. Those are huge ones, right? So those are some things you can use in your language. That's the language your person's using. So give me another example here. You said a second ago.
Chronic pain.
Chronic. All right. Chronic pain?
Yeah.
Is that right? Well, we'll look it up. We'll see what it pulls up. Chronic pain, 10,000 to 100,000 people a month. Fibromyalgia, 100,000 to 1 million. Neck pain, 10 to 100,000. Here you go. Sciatica, 100,000 to 1 million. Lower back pain, 100,000, 1 million, right? So the reason why I'm sharing these with you is because, guys, the out here in the world, these people are looking these things up. And the idea is to understand again here, right? Tell me, can you see, I'm back on the dream client sheet. Can you see that again? Cool, right? So where do they spend their time? Online. Locally, right? That's a big one. So let me give you a perfect example. What we did with Kelly is I actually got with Kelly, and I'm going to pull it up here real quick. And we were looking for his. Let me just find my online world. Where did you go? There we are. So what we figured out with these are just examples. Let me come back here. So for him, I was like, dude, start contacting these people immediately. Figure out his tagline, if you will, is, and I'm probably going to mess this up, but he says, I help women who are dealing with infidelity without them feeling shameful so that they can get on with their lives. Something along those lines, right? And when he calls up and talks to Richard Life Counseling or Jim Jobin, and he says, what do you do? Well, I help women who deal with infidelity without feeling shameful or embarrassed about it so they can get on with their lives. He's speaking so clearly about who he's helping, right? So that's when it comes back to with our actual dream client, right? Like when it comes back to here. So where do they spend their time? And that's where, guys, this comes down to, it's not just where they spend their time online, the Google AdWords, locally on Yelp and Facebook, whatever it is. It's where do they spend their time offline, right? What magazines do they subscribe to? What junk list do they subscribe to? What are the things that they're subscribing to out there, right? Guys, you're a little bit more familiar with this one, right? What are your dream client pain points, right?
Yeah.
Like that's something that's going to be super simple for you guys to put down. What's their biggest struggle now? See, this biggest struggle here, this comes back to using the 4 archetypes when you come to Wizard of Oz stuff, right? What are their immediate biggest struggles? You can go back to each one of those pieces, and you can literally use those things to start from there. And you can plug those in here to grow from. Make sense?
Yeah.
And challenges as well. It's the same challenge. What is the biggest challenge they have? Like, I know people out there who run their own business like you guys, it's a challenge of raising a family and running a business.
Yeah.
Right? So time is a challenge for you. So how can we help you save more time? My thing is to help you figure out what your marketing message is so you don't have to spend all your time creating all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Right? This last one is, what is Carrie missing? Right? Clarity about who she is here to help package deals for people. Like, this is mine specifically, right? But what is it she's really missing in her life? Maybe it's a deeper relationship, with her lover. Who knows? But what are the things that you know that she may not be telling you that you can see from the outside? Like, it's always easy to look at somebody and be like, man, I can tell just by the way they're talking, what they're sharing with me, they really are missing this in their life. Right? Here's some marketing questions, right? What are the last 5 products you bought in your market? And how much did they cost? Right? What have your, again, guys, the beautiful part about this is, and we're going to dive into this into part 2, is the client interview. And what we're going to be doing in that client interview, and the next thing is we're going to be taking these things and we're going to be using these questions to go back to your past clients and interview them. Take them to lunch, send them a free gift, whatever you need to do. But like, ask these people that you've already served, your dream clients, the people you've got the best results for, ask them, what you've been able to do up to this point and how you've been able to serve them. Which ones did you like and dislike the most, right? How much did they cost? What emails from marketers in your industry do you consistently open? Which ones do they consistently open? That's funny, that one's in there twice. I'll take it out. What email lists have they opted out of or opted into, right? Like, there's some type of lead magnet they're looking out there, that they're out there looking for, that they are actually doing, that they're looking for to solve their problem, because everything's a pain, guys. People have been solving pain points, and it could be as simple as, we talked about this last time, hanging your keys up, on the wall. Where's the hook, right? And that's a pain until you figure out you have the key thing. What products are they most excited about? Do you consider yourself to be part of anybody's tribe in your own industry, right? Like, we're part of this community, right, with Wake Up.
Yeah.
Whose tribe are you already in?
Oh.
And of course,
Yeah.
Go ahead. We already talked about offline. So this is how I came up with Carrie, by the way. Oops. I literally, if it's online, it's got to be true, right? So I just put this stuff in here, and I went and plugged this into Google, and it literally came up with this picture. Isn't that funny? Apparently this lady is somebody famous or something. I don't really know who she is, but when I put that in there, it pulled her up, and it had like a bunch of pictures of her. So isn't that funny? So when you do that, so literally when you get to done here, we can even do it right now. Probably pull her up just because her name's in there, right? But let's plug that in, and then you just come over here to images. Yeah, it actually did not pull it up this time. So yeah, it pulled up somebody differently. Oh, it's probably because I have her name in there. That's weird, right? But I literally went through, and when I put that in here, oh, you know what? Because I don't think I had Smith in there last time. I think I had just Carrie in there. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Last time I pulled it up, she had like 20 pictures in here. So that is literally how I came up with that picture. And the reality is, that's exactly somebody I would love to work with. Like, she looks like the perfect dream client for me.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome, right? So play around with that, do that. Guys, what I need to do is, since my computer shut down, I need to go find my PowerPoint presentation, but we are pretty much wrapped up for today as far as it goes. This week, this home fun, super important to be doing. So let me pull this up real quick here.
Which is just this stuff that we've been looking at today, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, the other stuff you're working on still, right? But obviously you want to be able to make sure that this is this particular one is super important to be working on.
Okay.
So, because this is something you're going to flow with. So I call this next page Dream Client Daily Insight. And the reason why I do that is because I took a picture. I'm going to actually show you my notes. This is inside of my notes. So why this is, where's my cursor? Where you are. So why this is pulling up, I think what I'm going to have to do is open it again because it's shut down. Yep. All right, guys, I'm going to have to pause my share real quick because everything closed on me. So what I do every morning, and not so much every morning now, probably 2 or 3 days a week, is I literally come into this sheet inside my notes. I either read this one or, come on, you guys should be able to see the same sheet now, but inside my notes, like business, dream, and desires, vision, dream, and desires for business, wellpreneurs, which includes chiropractors, authors, acupuncturists. I can even put healers in here too, right? Because that's what you guys, we're all healers, right? But my movement, what is the one big thing, the domino? This is particular ones for chiropractors. What do I do? And we're going to dump into this next time. The key words are I help. You see they're bolded. I help who, without, so that. That's going to be part 2 we're going to talk about. I have some so that benefits. We're going to talk about that next time. The without. How do I do that? These are all the things that are coming next week. You know, you see the 2 Y's in here, my story, drop in testimonials. So guys, I work on this stuff constantly is my point. Like this is not like you have it set once and you go like, I have a very strong foundation now of who I'm here to serve, right? Now I just go back and I literally just tweak little word by little word by little word. And I read through it and then I tweak the little words and then I have a conversation with you guys or I talk to a client or whoever. And I'm like, something clicked. I go back and I tweak that and I put that back in there, right? So I'm constantly, I'm building. The beautiful part about all this is by doing this work, you're literally creating yourself content, which is super freaking cool, right? So that's the beautiful piece behind all this. This isn't all just because we're doing it for fruitile, right? Am I using that word right? Fruitile? Just to do for work. We're literally doing this for a reason. So let me see. That was 2 more pages here, guys. So again, here's a couple other ways you can really do this, but I think that with the experience you guys already have with the people you've worked with, just, you know, some final thoughts here, some insiders. Use your phone, record everything, use Zoom, record it. You can do surveys, you can talk to customers, you can read emails from competitors, which is a beautiful way, by the way, to get some great language. Meet people at events. Always know that you're going to be asking those basic certain questions like what are the things you love to do? What do you desire the most? What are your challenges? What are your needs, right? Those questions that are all inside that dream client creation. Those are the questions, if you ask those consistently to everybody you talk to, you will figure out your dream client 1,000 times quicker. So always have that awareness, always be adding to it. So final thoughts here, guys, and then we're going to wrap this up on a little bit of fun. So first one is be a student of people. I can't stress enough about that. I mean, that is something that I've just really dedicated my life to, is being like, okay, who are people? What makes them tick? What are the emotions they share? What are the emotions they share with me? What are the beliefs they have that I have, right? It's just be a student of people and really slow down. And I struggle with this, but I slow down and really try and focus on my breath when I'm talking to somebody, and especially after I ask them a question. I just really focus on my breath. Be super present, which is what that means, right? Breathe in here, take notes, have awareness, write everything down, record everything. And then, of course, review this stuff daily. Like, there was a point in time, guys, for months, I was looking at my client avatar stuff literally every day. And sometimes it was for 5 minutes. But it's getting that whole depth in there. So ultimately, I think this all boils down to really one thing. Are you alone in that? So what do I mean by that? So what we're going to do is we're going to pop this open here. And this is literally called, let me just get this prepared while this is pulling up. You know, I'm not going to be able to because my computer shut down, right? So I'm going to have to go find it real quick, guys, and pull this up. That was a real bummer that my computer shut down.
It happens.
It happens, right? So, all right, while this is pulling up, okay, cool, this is up. I'm going to share this with you guys Because really what all this boils down, in my opinion, is that you're really being a leader. So what does it mean to be a leader? I'm going to let this guy explain a little bit better because he's better at explaining it than me.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore. It's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is over-glorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
Is that hilarious or what?
Funny, yeah. I love it.
Isn't that awesome, right? So awesome, right?
Listen, that's awesome.
Cool, guys. And you know what? You have access to this because you guys have access to my YouTube page, and I have it under there under client resources. So what are the next steps as we move forward into part 2 of Dream Client Creation? We're going to start talking about story arc. We're going to start a little bit more deeper dive in understanding client language. We touched a little bit on that today. And then learning how to speak it. Again, we touched on that today. And then we're going to do a bit of a dream client interview in this next round. So we're going to spend 2 times on this one. I'm sure I'll add a couple more things in here as well as we move along, because as I'm creating and doing this stuff, there's always like, oh my God, we could use this tool. So awesome. Other than that, guys, today we kept it under the time, I think. I think we kept it 1 hour 40.
Thanks, Derek.
Pretty close anyhow. If you guys have any questions, I really hope this recorded. I'm going to be super bummed if I didn't, but that's how it works sometimes. So keep working on the stuff in the background, but really spend some time this week on that dream client stuff and asking those questions. You guys meet with clients, dude, start asking them questions.
Okay. I get that.
You know, asking those simple little questions is kind of fun, like open up the conversation, like, hey, what are your favorite movies and why? Watch what they do a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. You can, and then as you know, depending on your comfortability level, you can just start asking them questions. And next thing you know, what you're going to see across your clients is you're going to see this, they're going to start seeing the same answers. You're going to start seeing the very similar insights. You're going to start seeing all these little epiphanies. You're going to be like, and it will click.
Nice.
Cool.
That's awesome. I
All
love
right.
it.
Awesome, guys. Love you guys. Thank you for showing up. You know how to get a hold of me. Any questions, comments, concerns? You know, we're going to be doing a review next week. So you know that's coming.
Okay.
But anything, and I'm sure what we'll do is when I get to the end of this, I'll probably send you guys a quick survey because I really want to know like what you guys find to be the most valuable, where you had the biggest epiphanies. Because if you share those with me, then I can expand on those even more, right? Because I can just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper on this stuff right now. So cool. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your week. Oh, let's chat about real quick. Let me pause this.
There we go.
Cool. Adam?
Yep. Thanks a lot.
You got it, man. You got it, man. If you guys have anything between now and then, just obviously, dude, ping me on Facebook.
For sure. What's your YouTube channel? Just your name?
Oh yeah, you know, let me just share that with you right now. And
or whatever.
Unless it's is it in the Google Drive share stuff you gave? Because
you know, that's a good question. Let me so I'll just put it in Facebook right now. Boom, should have like a Facebook. And let me come here to. All right, where you guys? There you guys are. Okay, cool. So I made a special link for it there. So that is now on Facebook. And then when you go to it, just go to playlist and then go to client In fact, that might even just take you to that resources. I can't remember if I put it directly to that, but under playlist, there's one called client resources. When you first jump on there, just obviously subscribe. It'll be easier to find it the next time. Okay. And then go to playlist. I think you guys will be like number 70. Woo! 70 people on my YouTube. Cool.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you. And I will talk to you next week.
Thanks so much, Derek.
Yep.
We'll talk to you later.
Take care. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.